Hi, 8th grade. So this week you're going to be working on creating your speech, your persuasive speech on the same topic that you wrote your quarter three writing for a cause essay on. So that could be animal cruelty, cancer, sports anxiety, whatever you wrote that initial paper on in quarter three. Now you already did your brainstorming last week or 2 weeks ago now. So now this week we're going to be writing our outline to our speech and creating a visual aid. I'm going to show you my example and kind of walk you through the steps that I took. The good thing about this is you're not rewriting an entire paper. A speech is an outline. You don't have to write word for word what you're going to talk about, but I should be able to see pretty much your idea of what you're going to be saying. So you shouldn't just have a simple idea. I need it to be explained because unfortunately, we're not going to be in class for you to present it. So I'm not going to be able to see your fully thought out ideas. But I do want to be able to see that you've thought about what you would say. Your visual aid does need to be the same one you would do if you were actually presenting the speech. So you are preparing as if you were going to present this speech. If you would like to present it for 5 bonus points, then you can record yourself presenting and then send it to me via Jupyter or Google Classroom. If you need help on how to do that, please send me a message and I will explain to you how to do that. You can always attach it to the assignment. And I believe I'm going to have a Google Classroom location for you to sign up to do that. Anyway, so I'm going to show you my example and kind of go through my speech and talk through the parts that you're going to need for your speech outline. So first, let's talk about what you need for your speech outline. This is your template that you're going to see on Google Classroom. This is a template. A template means it's just a basic idea and you're going to fill it out and form it into what it needs to be. So your introduction, this is where you're going to, of course, introduce your topic. My topic, if you remember, was dysautonomia. Now remember, this needs to be a persuasive speech. You're going to try to persuade your audience to support your cause, to donate to a specific research facility, to take a certain action in order to support your ideas on this cause. All of the TED Talks that we've been reading and watching have been persuasive. They've tried to convince you to do something, and I've tried to show you the different ways that they've done that with ethos, pathos, and logos, and the different rhetorical devices. You don't have to use repetition and all of those things, but they're just good ways for you to support your ideas. You do need to have ethos, pathos, or logos in it. Anyway, introduction. We need to start off with an attention getter. You don't want it to be boring because remember, just with your writing, if you don't have a hook to hook those readers, if you don't have an attention getter to hook your audience that's listening, they're not going to want to pay attention at all. So you need to start off with an attention getter. It can be a personal story, a personal statement, a hook, a question, a rhetorical question, anything that's going to really make people stop and think, I want to hear more. Then you're going to want to have a linking statement or a motivation for people to listen. Why is this an important issue? You're going to give us a basic general, very general, not specific background information that's going to lead up to your thesis. You already wrote your thesis in quarter three. This is already done for you. Your thesis is, what is your issue and what do you want your audience to think about it and why? Okay, so for example, if animal cruelty is bad because remember, it's opinion plus 3 details equals thesis. And then you're going to give a ethos. Ethos is your credibility. Why should we listen to you? What is your tie to this? Then you're going to move into the content or the body of your speech. You have to have at least 2 main points. You can have 3 or more, but you have to have at least 2. Your first major point is probably going to be one of your body paragraphs, and you're just going to convert it into and turn it into kind of an outline form. So you include your context, support, probably you're going to need some sort of logos or statistics or data to support your thoughts. And then you need a transition statement. Same thing for the second major point, and then for the third, if you would like to. That last one is probably a good one for you to use to appeal to the emotion. So pathos. How are you going to get people to actually care about this cause? Finally, after you transition to the end, you're going to have a conclusion. Summarize everything that you just said. Review the main points, restate them just like you would in a concluding paragraph. This time it's in a speech. Give them a call to action. What action does your audience need to take in order to support this cause? And then end it with a clincher, something that's going to be really memorable, that's going to really stick in your audience's mind so that they remember why this is important. Now I'm going to show you my example, but I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you the outline, and then I'm going to show you my visual aid. On Wednesday this week, I'm going to be actually presenting my my presentation to show you how that outline moves from bullet points to talking points for me to remember as I'm going through and speaking. So let me pull that up. Okay, so this screen, as you can see, this has, it's called Make Noise for Turquoise Persuasive Speech, I believe it's called, on Google Classroom. You have access to this. You can't edit it, but you can see it. This is my outline for my speech. I'm going to start off with my introduction. I'm going to give a story about Space Camp, about how, you don't know what this means, I first wanted to be a taxi. You'll find out when I give my speech. But it's my major talking points for what I'm going to hit to make sure I have hit everything I need to make this speech persuasive. So this first A is going to be, actually let me open this up real quick so I can highlight. Can I open it? Technical difficulties. Oh, I can't. Anyway, so my Space Camp story is a personal story. It's a hook to get people interested. I'm going to talk about my experience at Space Camp. Then I'm going to make a link. I'm going to link it from how when I was at Space Camp and my time as pretending to be an astronaut to how now that my link to real astronauts, when they come back to Earth, they have a high heart rate, they are dizzy, they cannot stand, they have low muscle tone, they have all the symptoms that I have when I developed my chronic illness at age 25, only I didn't go to space. And then I'm going to give my thesis. Today I will be sharing with you the impact a diagnosis of dysautonomia can have on an individual and why it is important to recognize the symptoms and advocate for research. I am credible to talk about this this condition because I actually have it. I've had it since I was 25. I'm 30 now. I've had it for 5 years. I have learned the ups and downs, and I have done a lot of research as well as I've been in contact with a lot of doctors, not just for my personal use, but also because I am a patient advocate as well. So then I'm going to move on to my transition into my first my main point, which is the symptoms. First, the symptoms are blah, 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 blah. Then these symptoms can affect everyday life. That is my transition. Now I'm going to go back, talk about my second main point, and that is the impact the symptoms can have. Then I'm going to explain it. The things that are highlighted in red are the statistics and the actual research that I have done from my Q3 Writing for a Cause paper that I wrote for you as an example on Google Classroom. Excuse me. Now, remember, this is not my full speech right now, and I'm not giving it to you right now. You're going to see that speech later this week. I'm just showing you the outline that's going to help me remember the talking points. And I'm kind of showing you how it is written out just as you're going to be writing it out. There are still complete sentences in here. There are still complete thoughts. It's not just, now if you look under where it says C, impact, that is the topic, and then it says I, dizziness while standing. 1, similar feeling to putting head on bat and spinning, not just voluntarily. I'm explaining it, not in complete sentences. Some of them are complete sentences, but not all of them. It's just enough information for you to remember, but also if someone were to pick it up, they could still kind of give this speech as well. Okay, so again, the red highlighted portions are the cited information that I got from another source that I'm going to give credit to. So you'll see, according to Dysautonomia Support Network, this is like word for word from my essay, and that's okay. There are over 70 million people in the world who are living with at least one form of dysautonomia and dealing with their symptoms each day. Then I go on to explain that quote. Just like in our writing, we have to explain the quotes. Then, after I've talked about the impact these symptoms have, I'm going to transition. There's currently no cure, which leads millions of people to learn to manage their symptoms in order to have a normal life. And then I'm going to talk about the research. And then I have another quote. I'm talking about the different ways that you can support research, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to have talk about the different foundations, the different organizations. Have another transition, helps people like me have quicker results and a quicker diagnosis so that we can help our bodies do the work that they need to do. In conclusion, there are many tests, blah, 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 that help people like me, patients like me, finally have a diagnosis and finally have access to medication and medical professionals that will help us deal with chronic illnesses like mine. So here, this is why it is important to fund research. This is my call to action. This is why it is important for people to support my cause. Why it is important to fund research. If people don't fund research, people like me won't have to wait so long for a diagnosis. They can help find markers and prevent this from happening to others and having to wait 6, 10, 12, 18 months for a diagnosis, and they won't have to be stuck on the couch wondering what's happening, am I dying, am I like, etc. And then here's my clincher, my memorable statement, which you will see, but it's a specific story. I have it written out so I don't forget the major portions of that I want to hit. And then I have my final statement. I hope that you help others like me by putting it in the effort to make noise for turquoise so both astronauts and I no longer have to suffer. Now, just hearing me go through how my outline is laid out, it doesn't make sense right now. I know it doesn't. That's why on Wednesday, you will see how this speech or this outline becomes an actual speech. Now, let me show you, this is also in your Google Classroom, my PowerPoint. This is my visual aid, and it's going to hit major points of my speech. So it's called Make Noise for Turquoise, which will make sense later when you hear the speech. The subtitle is Dysautonomia, Astronauts, and Me. This is me giving a speech about John Glenn. I'm going to talk about space camp. I'm going to see, you're going to see pictures of me at space camp. Yes, I was an awkward little child. Laugh all you want. I'm sure you all have embarrassing pictures of you as well. Here's another example of a weightless simulator that I did when I was at space camp. And then I'm going to transition and talk about how being at space camp and astronauts are very much like the condition that I have now. I'm going to talk more about the symptoms. Here's a picture example of my heart rate while sitting, while I was getting tests done. 109. Your heart rate while sitting should probably be between 60 and 75 if you're healthy. So obviously something was wrong. So I'm going to have that slide for a little bit as I talk about the symptoms and the causes and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to talk about research and why it's important and organizations that help support people like me. And here I have their logos that's going to help people remember. Then here's my final one, what's going to be my call to action: make noise for turquoise, donate today. That is a hashtag that's going to become very important once you hear the speech. So your visual aid doesn't have to be super fancy. It does not. Some people like to have videos. I'm going to stop sharing this. Some people, a couple years ago and last year, I've had students who've used videos no longer than, I say 15 to 30 seconds tops, because you don't want other people, you don't want other visual aids, you don't want other things to be doing the work for you. You should be telling me the information, not your PowerPoint, not another video. You're not going to rely on somebody else to do the work. You are doing the work. So your visual aid needs to be there to aid you, just like a picture to help think about the topic that you're discussing. It can also, just like the video where we watched where the man used the water bottle to turn dirty water into clean water, that's a visual aid. If you were going to use something like that, tell me that's your visual aid, but you need to have a picture of it in your PowerPoint. So I hope that helped explain how your outline is going to be written and kind of see how it's all going to come together. Wednesday, you will see an example of me giving my speech with my visual aid, and I will also have my outline uh, shared as well. So you can go through and see as I'm reading it, how I'm hitting all those points. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. We are having a Google Classroom, not a Google Classroom, we're having a Zoom Hangout on Tuesday, I believe. Sorry, guys. On, yeah, Tuesday at 11 a.m. If you have questions about what am I doing, oh my gosh, I am so lost. So if you have questions, I can't help you if you don't ask. I miss you guys a whole bunch. I really wish we could have done the debates together. But I am hoping that enough of you will record yourselves doing the speech, that we will be able to have a little mini bracket and kind of have a winner from there. Okay. Have a good week. Let me know if you have any questions. I miss you. Goodbye.